Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins in a church, where a man is showing off Existence, a brand new game. He introduces Allegra Geller, the best game designer in the entire world. She introduces the Existence game, as she timidly enters the room. Following her brief introduction, the event staff members choose participants for the game from the audience. A man who rushes into the event is stopped by the door by Ted Picoul, a PR manager, who informs him that he is already late for the event. Picoul checks the man's belongings to see if he has a gun or not. Allegra pulls out a pod, a game system that has an organic appearance, while she is on stage with the volunteers. After Allegra and the volunteers plug in to test Existence, the man that Picoul earlier stopped, pulls out a strange gun and yells, shooting a man and Allegra in the shoulder. The audience becomes agitated, and the event's bodyguards quickly shoot the man to death. The man who initiated the event, who is now dying, commands Picoul to defend Allegra. He picks up Allegra and drives away into the night. Allegra examines the injury on her shoulder in the car. She grabs the odd-looking phone Picoul pulls out, and throws it out the window, telling him it's a tracking device. She asks him to stop, so that he can remove the bullet from her injuries. They discover it to be a tooth after taking the bullet out. When she examines the gun, she discovers that it is not just odd-looking, but also unsettlingly made of bones. He deduces that this must be the cause of it passing his earlier inspection. The two keep on driving and eventually arrive at a motel. There, she checks to see if her game Existence is still operational, and it is. To make sure the game is running properly, she needs a partner. Picoul is considering calling the games company, when she unexpectedly turns to look at him. She notices he doesn't have a bioport installed in him, which is a hole at the base of the spine that allows one to access virtual reality games like Existence. He acknowledges that despite being a huge fan of her and her games, he is afraid of being pierced by objects. Allegra urges him to install one, so they can check to see if Existence is still operating as intended. She explains to him that it took 5 precious years to develop it, and she doesn't want it to be wasted. She wants to test it out on a reliable person. Finally, Picoul consents, and the two proceed to a gas station. After refueling, Allegra approaches a man named Gas, to ask for assistance with his bioport issue. He initially comes off as foolish, but he is speaking with a well-known game designer. He gladly offers to help and gets down on his knees to kiss Allegra's feet. He changes into a much cleaner outfit once inside the building. He replies that her hard work had freed him from reality, when Picoul inquires about how she had altered his life. He then pulls out a cylindrical device. Upon seeing it, Picoul starts to have second thoughts, but he reassures him that there is no danger of infection. Allegra is admiring various items at the gas station, when she notices a 2-headed hybrid amphibian outside. Inside, Picoul drops to the chair to undergo the bioport procedure, appearing to be paralyzed from the waist down. He is paralyzed, and Gas assures him that he will get better right away. Allegra is adamant about testing Existence right away using the tube from her pod. However, the pod shorts out, which enrages her. Gas quickly follows up by bringing a shotgun and aiming it at Allegra. He claims that he installed a defective bioport, and that this is how he ruined it. He admits that he did it in order to earn a reward for eliminating both her and her game. Fortunately, Picoul uses a mechanical tool to defeat Gas. After this close call, the two travel to a ski area that Allegra is familiar with, that appears to be deserted. Picoul notices the creature with 2 heads there, that she had earlier seen. It is a sign of the times, she observes. The two enter the home, where Kiri Vinegar cheerfully welcomes her, seeming as though they are longtime friends. Vinegar agrees when Allegra requests that he fix her pod, and permit them to remain there for the time being. He and his helper then started repairing the pod. Picoul, who is standing next to them, is obviously repulsed by the fact that the pod is organic, and has flesh inside instead of wires. When Picoul remarks that they are essentially dissecting an animal, Vinegar responds that it is an animal because it is constructed from fertilized amphibian eggs, that have been filled with synthetic DNA and is powered by the human body. He then moves on to install a fresh bioport for him. That evening, Allegra starts the game by inserting the tube from the pod. Picoul effortlessly shifts to a new location as he stands up from his current position, entering a different reality. They are both taken to an establishment resembling a store. He is taken aback by how lifelike everything in the game appears to be. Allegra tells him that he must play the game to learn more. A miniature replica of her pod is discovered by him hanging in the shop. When he touches it, a man named Darcy Nader, the store's owner, appears and warns them that it is delicate. He takes the two and enters a room. When he asks them why they are here inside the room, Picoul retorts angrily that it is none of his business. He apologizes right away for acting inadvertently, appearing to have lost focus. Allegra reassures him that Picoul's in-game persona is the one who spoke earlier, so he shouldn't be concerned. She then gives him the recommendation to give Nader some pertinent dialogue, in order to advance the game's plot. Nader instructs them to use the mini-pods for their new identities after giving him the proper dialogue to use. The two attach the mini-pods to their bioports after Nader has left, with Allegra doing so first. She is shocked when the mini-pod is pulled into the bioport. After inserting the biopod successfully, Picoul makes her jump out of the bioport by licking it in a sexual manner. She unexpectedly kisses him after he apologizes, and explains that his character acted in that manner. She observes that the game forces them to be close, to form an emotional connection. Picoul then moves into the front of an assembly line without incident. In what was once a trout farm, he now goes by a different name and works dissecting amphibians for game pods. A man introduces himself as Yevgeny Nourish, and stands next to him. He doesn't know how to dissect, but he appears to be a master at other tasks. Yevgeny asks where is he going to have lunch. He advises him to eat at the nearby Chinese eatery in the forest, and suggests to order the special. He is then asked to bring a pushcart full of amphibians to the back. Picoul discovers Allegra in a new outfit as he delivers the pushcart's contents. He instructs her to order the special at the Chinese restaurant. A waiter there welcomes them and inquires about their order. The group at the table erupts into silence as he replies, stating that he wants the special. He responds that it is Allegra's birthday when the waiter says that the dish is for special occasions. The other diners at their table leave them alone after they successfully order the special. The game is then paused, but Allegra refuses to stop when Picoul requests it. The existence is paused. Picoul then shouts while standing. The fact that he is now on a bed after falling to the ground, shows that he has finally made it back to the real world. He, however, is uneasy because he cannot tell the difference between the real world and the virtual world. They return to the game to continue the narrative, after Allegra is successful in persuading him. At last, the special is brought out to the table. It is a platter full of vile meats that appear to be from another planet. Picoul eats the unidentified dish, despite being repulsed, because it fits his persona. He recreates the bone gun from earlier as he consumes the repulsive food, points it at Allegra, and yells the same exact words as the assassin earlier. The act, however, is immediately abandoned by him, and the waiter is instead called. The waiter is killed by his 2 shots. After telling the restaurant's virtual patrons that it was just a disagreement, he gets up from his seat, and the crowd fancifully resumes their daily lives. They meet Yevgeny in the back, who informs them that the waiter was actually a spy, and that he works for the realists. They leave after learning this. Then he orders them to go back and keep the agents at Nader's shop. When they get back, they inquire about his whereabouts with the store's cashier. They are taken to the back by the cashier, where they discover Nader asleep on a couch. The cashier then informs them that since the waiter is their contact, they should not have killed him. The cashier reveals to them that they are actually collaborating to fight the realists. They therefore go back to the trout farm to stop Yevgeny. The two search for an item, which they eventually located in a nearby room. They spot a sick game pod there. Allegra feels the urge to port it for some reason, and Picoul reluctantly helps her. He must cut the cord because the ill pod could prove dangerous. After being cut down, the cord begins to bleed, and Allegra is now dying from internal bleeding. Yevgeny makes a second appearance with a flamethrower, and burns the diseased pod, which explodes and spews deadly spores. She kills Yevgeny by shooting him in the back. The entire building burns down. They both come back to consciousness. Allegra cries out in frustration after discovering that her game pod is sick. He discovers that his bioport was purposefully infected by vinegar earlier, while attempting to save the game pod, so she seals it just to be safe. Unexpectedly, there is an explosion outside. The cashier from the game enters the room brandishing a gun. They must still be in the game, says a perplexed Picoul. The cashier then opens fire on the game pod, sending Allegra into a fit of rage. The man tells them that Allegra Geller must be killed, leading them outside and pointing a gun at them. Vinegar, however, ends up killing the man. He claims that he only killed her game pod and not existence. For her to be able to see her game once more, Vinegar gives her the option to defect to his side. Allegra takes a gun and kills him. She is reprimanded by Picoul, who warns her that it might not just be a game after all. In an unexpected turn of events, Picoul also turns out to be an assassin. Nevertheless, Allegra has the upper hand because the bomb she detonated in the seal, she inserted at his bioport. He is killed by the bomb's explosion after the trigger is pulled. She exclaims loudly that she won the game. She notices that she is wearing some sort of technology in her head and wrists. Later, it is revealed that they are actually playing a game called Transcendence. This reality is much more authentic. The characters talk about their parts and actions. Yevgeny, one of the developers, is disturbed after the game session is over, because the game's premise is to assassinate a game developer. As they leave, Pikul and Allegra stop by in front of the developers, and tell them they should pay for making a tool that distorts reality. Then they kill the programmers. The earlier Chinese waiter asks them if they are still in the game. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.